actually good news. You don't have to shelter your kids' ears from this, but the 7th abortion clinic in the last 8 months has been shut down in the state of Michigan. Just 8 months ago, there were 7 abortion clinics functioning in Michigan that are no longer open. They have been shut down. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are fighting a winnable war. Now, when it comes to the values issues, particularly human sexuality, on the abortion issue, Justice Ginsburg, by the way, is out there saying, look, that she thought Roe v. Wade was poorly decided and that the issue should have been left to the states to resolve. That it just gave the conservatives a target to shoot at for the last 40 years. So she's regretting that just from a political standpoint. She's saying, look, this is a political football. We should have just left that issue at the state level. We shouldn't have federalized it. We shouldn't have centralized it. We shouldn't have imposed a one-size-fits-all solution on the states. Should have left it alone. Let the states deal with it. Now, what's significant about that is they're getting ready to issue a ruling on the Defense of Marriage Act. And this, I don't know if this tips her hand or not. I mean, there's no possible way to predict what they're going to do. But Ginsburg, I mean, whatever, if they rule to impose same-sex marriage in all 50 states, that will be the Roe v. Wade of marriage. And it'll be just as controversial. There'll be just as much blowback. It'll be just as visible. In fact, the blowback will be intense and it will be immediate. Took time for the blowback against Roe v. Wade to develop. It'll be intense and immediate. It'll be incendiary. It'll be Armageddon. And so perhaps this will be a caution to the Supreme Court to go slow, leave the issue in the hands of the states. Now, here is the thing that I wanted to get to. I got 2 stories in the stack here today about people who had sex with animals. Here is a man from northwest suburban Roselle in DuPage County. This is in Illinois. And he was charged, they were pursuing an indecent solicitation of a child, and they discovered, I'm not making this up, and this is what you want to shelter tender ears from, that he had sexually abused his pet peacock. Then I've got another story about a teacher who has been charged with having sexual intercourse with a dog. She was a school teacher. And again, they were pursuing possible child pornography or child molestation charges in her case. Now, again, if I was their attorney, and I think this is what's going to happen, because we're seeing more and more instances of bestiality show up on our newspaper. It's no longer a hidden thing. You're reading stories about it virtually every week. And I think what you're going to see attorneys starting to do is starting to argue, hey, they were born this way. Get off my client's case. This happened in private. There was nobody there in that barnyard when that happened. It's nobody else's business. This is private sexual conduct. My client was born this way. This is his sexual orientation. Get off my back. It's exactly the same argument that was used to normalize homosexual behavior. Don't forget, a generation ago, everybody in our culture referred or thought of homosexual behavior as sexually deviant behavior. Nobody thought it ought to be normalized. Nobody thought it ought to be endorsed. Nobody ought to thought it be celebrated. It was sexually deviant behavior, like incest, like polygamy, like sex with children, like sex with animals, like sex with corpses. It was all in that same category of sexually deviant behavior. How did the homosexual activists work out of that box? We were born this way. Not a thing we can do about it. This is how our sexual orientation. God made me this way. This is how I was born. I can't help it. It's my genetic heritage. So I think it's not going to be long before we see, in fact, we're already seeing it in different cases. We're already seeing it in a case in Florida. Attorneys are going to argue about folks that are charged with having sex with animals. Hey, it's my client's sexual orientation. They were born this way, private, consensual. Get off my client's back. Focal Point AFR Talk.